Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Too Many Nightmares, who says, "Am I the arsehole for not wanting my husband and I to attend his brother's wedding? I'm newly pregnant with our first child. My husband's brother just recently proposed to his girlfriend of 4 months and they plan on getting married when I'm 38 weeks pregnant. They live about 7 hours away from us. I don't really like his fiancée due to some very off-the-wall and inappropriate comments she made during my mother-in-law's funeral, but everyone else seems to like her, so I'm doing my best to get along with her. When she asked me to be a part of a bridal party, I thought, cool, this is a chance for me to get to really know her and maybe be friends outside the first time I met her, which was at the funeral. She hadn't set the date yet, but I told her I was pregnant and when I was due, and that while I don't want her to schedule their wedding around me, my husband and I wouldn't be able to attend if I was closer to my due date. They set the date and she asked me about dresses for me, and when I told her that while we are very happy for her, we won't be able to come. She asked why and I repeated that, and I told her before, she set the date and I couldn't travel far that late in pregnancy. She had a meltdown. She insisted that I could still come since it was only a 7-hour drive, barring traffic, and that if I couldn't come, my husband needed to still come because it was his brother. I said, this is our first child, and if I go into labor, I will not be doing it by myself, nor will my husband miss the birth of our child to attend anyone's wedding. She called me selfish for missing her wedding, and that if at least my husband didn't go, we wouldn't speak to them again. My husband is now anxious because he wants to be there for his brother, but knows if he leaves me and I go into labor, he could theoretically miss the birth of his first child. The added bit about making sure him and his brother don't have a relationship when they've always been close also adds fuel to the fire. She texts everyone in the family group chat that I was abusive and controlling for not letting my husband attend their wedding without context, saying I did not like her. I hadn't planned on telling all of our extended family we were pregnant yet since I'm still in my first trimester. My husband texts back saying I'm not forcing him to do anything, but we agreed not to tell everyone we were pregnant yet, so our phones have been going off for hours with texts about setting our pettiness aside to be happy for the couple. Even those who know I'm pregnant and will be close to my due date say I should at least let my husband go. My mum laboured for only 3 hours with me and an hour with my sister, and she had us both at the 39-week mark. My mother also had a short labour, so I feel very uncomfortable with the idea of leaving our city to travel so far away during the last weeks of my pregnancy. And then there were some relevant comments from OP which said, yes, my OB told me no travel past 36 weeks. That's why I told her my due date and the circumstances to begin with. If it was important to her and brother-in-law that we'd be there, I wanted to make sure she knew when we couldn't. She chose a time she knew we would not attend and then acted like I was a horrible person for standing by what I originally said. She sent a message to the group chat that brother-in-law is a part of. I assume he's seen it. I spoke directly to her about the date when she first asked me to be a part of the wedding party. She would have told him, though it's possible given her behaviour, she may not have. He didn't say anything in the group chat, but at this point, if she didn't tell him and she purposely chose the wedding date, it's very possible she's telling him a different story from the truth. My husband is set to talk to his brother at some point today, so hopefully that conversation will clear things up for everyone. Now my jaw was near the floor when, she insisted that you could still come, seeing as it's only 7 hours drive, barring traffic, whilst you're 38 weeks pregnant. I mean, come on now. I always wonder people who think like this, they think, this person's just told me they're 38 weeks pregnant and they told me that they can't attend the wedding. You go like, oh, I totally understand that. Please be safe and look after yourself. Absolutely. Not text the rest of the family that you're abusive and controlling for not letting the husband attend the wedding. And she's telling people this without context. So now they're all getting on your back and telling you that you're being petty about it. And it puts you in a difficult situation of whether to tell those people like early on in pregnancy or not, which I wouldn't want to advise on either way. But at the same time, I'd love to see their faces when you tell them, well, she's expecting us to travel at 38 weeks pregnant. And then hopefully a normal human reaction, they would say, oh yeah, I don't blame you either. But anyway, before the update, let's check out some comments to see what they say. And we'll start off with Linerva, who says, not the arsehole. Babies can come at any time during the last few weeks of pregnancy. Your husband's place is with you during that time. 7 hours away is far too far for him to be traveling when you could give birth any day. And honestly, whilst he was there, he would not enjoy the wedding, nor could he drink, because he would be shitting his pants in case you went into labor. It would be a lot less fun than they think. Squirrel Trap says, absolutely not the arsehole. You're supposed to be within 1 hour of your hospital once you reach the end of your pregnancy, or even some high-risk cases even earlier than that. There are way too many variables, and 38 weeks is not the time to be going 7 hours away. There's a chance you'll already have delivered your baby, and there's zero sense to bring a 1 to 2 week old 7 hours away for a wedding. Having a baby absolutely trumps attending a wedding. Why is she expecting you to prioritize her wedding over your family? You already established your boundary and said no. She needs to respect your wishes. Your husband should not plan to attend without you. Again, starting your family trumps a wedding every single time. He shouldn't be choosing to be away from that. OP did reply saying he's not, but still feels pretty guilty and conflicted regardless, especially now that his relationship with his brother is apparently dependent on attending the wedding. Thundercat says, not the arsehole. The family should understand that you sitting in the car for 7+ hours each way to attend, then sit at a wedding at 38 weeks is not good for you or the baby. The husband needs to talk to his brother without the fiancé and explain how possibly missing out on the birth of his first child is not an option, and not to take it personally. If they're as close as you say they are, then he should understand. She is an arsehole for announcing your pregnancy to the family at all, but especially like that. Congrats on your bundle of joy. And one more from One Respect who says, why isn't your husband turning it around on his brother? He should tell his brother how offended he is that he would schedule his wedding during one of the most stressful and exciting times of his life. The impending birth of his first child. How dare he not take into consideration if he truly wanted him at his wedding? His brother knowingly put him in a very difficult situation, then threatened him with a strained relationship if he doesn't comply. The brother is a complete arsehole. OP replies saying the brother didn't threaten the relationship, soon-to-be sister-in-law did. My husband is planning on calling his brother now because there's been some misunderstanding or miscommunication, and he should know what exactly was communicated throughout this whole process. So then OP went on to update the post, which says my husband responded to the family members who reached out to us individually and told them the situation, including the fact that sister-in-law was informed of our due date and that we wouldn't be able to attend if they chose the wedding date close to it. His brother finally called him back and he spoke with him directly, and from what he understands, he was at work, so future sister-in-law was not around. My husband explained how it was 100% his decision to stay with me and had a heart-to-heart talk of which a lot was discussed. His brother was surprised about the ultimatum, apologized for his fiance's behavior, explaining that they apparently recently had a miscarriage, news to us, and she likely was taking out her feelings, including jealousy, on me. He also told my husband that he was going to talk to sister-in-law and have the date changed since they didn't sign a contract with any vendors yet. He said he really wants us there since we are close, so he'll either move the wedding forward or push it back. So I guess we might be going to the wedding after all. Though I told my husband at this point he can be a groomsman, but I definitely will not be a part of the bridal party because I didn't want her to take out her feelings on me throughout my pregnancy while she's wedding planning. Today was super stressful and I won't be responding to any more comments, but I wanted to thank all of you for your support and suggestions. I started having doubts about whether or not I was the arsehole here when family kept pestering us to concede, but I'm glad to find out our decision was perfectly normal and expected. And there's a lot of people saying that this probably isn't the end of the drama in this story and they're expecting to see more updates in the future, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from XO Andrea XO, who says, am I the arsehole for refusing to pay a bill my in-laws stuck us with? Long-time reader, first-time poster. I, 31 female, and my new husband, 33 male, are in a bit of a dilemma with his parents. For context, our wedding was around 2.5 weeks ago, and we immediately left for our honeymoon. We provided both of our parents instructions on how to get into our home in case of an emergency. I will do my best to recount the story with zero emotion from a neutral perspective and stick to the facts so that I don't influence your decision. We returned from our honeymoon to a new garage lift installed on our home. We did not need or want a new garage lift, and it wasn't even on our radar of things to fix. The previous one in place worked completely fine, although a bit old. His dad was super excited about it and we did find it to be a crossed boundary on its own. But then he handed us the bill and said it's due in a week. We obviously did not budget for this, and my husband told his parents that. They did not care and told us to figure out a way to pay. Even suggested using some of our wedding gift money to pay the bill. About a week ago, his dad said that he understood where we were coming from, that it was his idea to do the garage and that it was a gift, so he would cover the payment. Please keep in mind that we've said nothing about the cross boundary. Last night, they called us on speakerphone and his dad asked if we had paid the bill yet. We said that we had not, as he told us he would pay. His mum yelled, "Absolutely not." The parents are going on a trip over Thanksgiving, so in an attempt to get them to empathize with our situation, my husband asked how they would feel if we made a change to their home on something they hadn't budgeted for or even needed while they were away and handed them the bill upon return. His mum hung up the phone and has blocked his calls ever since. She texts him this morning saying, "You are rude. Dad and I do not deserve this disrespect and we are done with you." Am I completely effing nuts or are we arseholes? And OP does have an edit which replies to some of the questions. Absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. How is that a gift in the slightest? Imagine going into a friend's or family member's house, getting their kitchen fitted while they were away for 2 weeks. That whole new kitchen, 12 grand's worth of lovely kitchen, and then coming back and going, "There's the bill, guys." Absolute cheeky bastards. And I'm not going to get into the legalities of this, but I wonder if there's some way that you can get in contact with the company and say, you didn't authorize this, it's your house and you didn't authorize it, so someone else has come in and said that they can carry out work on your behalf when you haven't signed anything. Again, I might be talking absolute shite there because I don't really know, but MD Thomas says a gift doesn't come with a price tag. They, the parents, made the purchase. They, the parents, are responsible for paying, not the arsehole. Gary's Canary says, "Not the arsehole. I would call the company that installed it and tell them that you did not contract nor authorize this work. They need to collect payment from the people and parties who hired them, which you do not do. You are right. Your husband's parents have no perspective or boundaries. The mother's reaction when their son tried to illustrate their inappropriate behavior says it all. Last of all, you should stay out of it. You and hubby seem to be on the same page. Let him deal with them." Jada Kiss says, "Sorry. If I did not ask for something, never mentioned it and was out of town and someone came into my home without good reason and did something like that, I would feel as it was a gift and I would not be on the hook for it, especially if you did not budget for it. What I think is the part that bothers me, that in today's economy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if you were fine with what you had and it could be something way later down the road and it's off your radar now and all of a sudden you hand me a bill and say, pay this now, I'd be like, nope, I did not authorize this. I might ask to go as far and call the company and say that you came to my house. I am the homeowner, made an unauthorized install. My in-laws called you and did not have my consent. I'll tell them that as a company, they really should make sure that they have the homeowner's consent before doing installs and not just assuming the person calling is the homeowner. Tell them I will not be paying this bill, as I did not authorize or give my consent. Any further contact needs to be directed to them, not the arsehole." And one more comment because the comments are pretty much all down the same path. So Just a Fucking Egg says, "Not the arsehole, your in-laws are being totally ridiculous here. Yes, they were presumptuous to make an unasked for modifications in your house, then stick you with the bill. Then say it's a gift. Then ask, did you pay the bill? They are nuts. By all means have a pet door professionally installed. Maybe one of those expensive motion detecting types in their front door. Especially if they don't have any pets, then stick them with the invoice while loudly expecting gratitude." So OP comes back into the post which says, "ETA, it is such a weight off my shoulders to have so many of you saying I'm not the arsehole. Honestly, all I could picture is them sitting at home having the same conversation we're having here, but they think we're the arseholes. To answer some questions," before we go on, I'd love them to post here and ask that question. "The contractor is their very close friend. It is his name with our address on the invoice, which could be why the bill wasn't paid up front or immediately after the work was completed. I've had a lot of questions about what I mean by a garage lift. Truly, I don't even know what it is, but the box says Lift Master and it's the square thing on the ceiling of the garage that lifts your garage door. Oddly, we have two and they only replace the one side, the one that is much older than the other side. There was zero rationale on why they decided to do this. This is not new behavior at all. They constantly cross boundaries and act angry and upset at our attempts at setting healthy boundaries. Both sets of parents helped with our down payment. We bought the house just under a year ago and it is my husband and my name on the deed. In conversations about changes we would like to make on the house, his parents constantly say we need to do this or we need to do that, for stuff that we hadn't even thought about. They have even brought up the garage door lift before because it is old but fully functional. Sometimes I feel like they think it's their house and that they have a say because of the down payment help. Again, said it was a gift. A similar incident happened this summer where his mother called a pool service for something we were fully capable of fixing ourselves, and she knew we had it handled. My now husband yelled at her and she punished him by ignoring his calls and texts for days. It got to the point where he apologized to her. I think I got everything, but please let me know if there are any further context I can provide or questions I can answer. I want to ensure everyone has the full picture of the situation. I really think OP should get them to either write their own Am I the Arsehole post from their perspective, or like just read the comments in that post just to see what's going on. But I'm pretty sure they wouldn't listen anyway. But hey, what do you guys make of this one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story, which comes from Wild Bill Paxton 75 and does have a small update at the end, saying, am I the arsehole for not giving half of my mum's inheritance to my cousin? I, 37 male, was approached by my uncle, trustee of grandmother's 95 female still alive estate a month ago, and was told that our irrevocable life insurance trust, ILIT, of $800,000 was to be split equally between him, $400,000, and my mum, $400,000, upon my grandmother's death. My grandmother pays the premium each year out of her estate. Now sadly, my mother died of cancer 2 years ago, and per the rules of the ILIT, I have become the sole beneficiary of my mum's portion, $400,000. Now, a week after being told of this trust, I received a call from my uncle stating it was now my grandmother's wishes that I give his son, my cousin, 32 male, $200,000 of the $400,000 I inherited from my mum. When asked what money he will be given to his son, my cousin, out of his portion of the $400,000, he said nothing. He will keep the full $400,000 because he is the son of my grandmother. If I were to agree, he would have me sign a contract saying that I will give up $200,000, as legally he cannot change the rules of the trust or me as a beneficiary. Fast forward another week and now I'm getting angry calls from my grandmother, has dementia, saying she wants my cousin and I to have equal money, $200,000 each. It has evolved from $100,000 to $2,000 and now $200,000. She is unable to articulate where the money is coming from, and alludes to it coming from me, my money, my will. My grandmother seemed to have no knowledge of the trust being the source of the money, making it clear that my uncle has been coaching her and hiding the details of how the trust money is to be dispersed. To make matters personally worse, my grandmother recently asked if I wanted to be written out of the family because I'm being greedy. I have also received a text from my aunt, uncle's wife, saying that I'm a bad grandson and have no relationship with my grandmother, etc. All untrue. I love my grandmother dearly and want this to stop. Now, another issue is that my uncle is saying that there will be no money in her estate, will, at the time of her death due to the high cost of living, and thus no money for me or my cousin will be available from her estate. This is why he wants my mum and my inheritance to be split for his son, who he says will get nothing from my grandmother. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to split my mum's portion of her inheritance, $400,000, now my portion due to her death, with my uncle's son, my cousin? Now, the advice was pretty much all the same from all the comments on this one. Was 1, to lawyer up yourself, and 2, to report him for financial elder abuse as well. So we won't go through a whole load of those comments because, like I said, they are pretty much advising the same thing. I just feel so bad for grandma in this, but the update says, thanks to all who have put in their advice. It's amazing to get an unbiased opinion. Have a consultation with an attorney at 1:30 p.m. today. We'll update all upon further guidance. Spoke with an attorney. Uncle is clearly in the wrong. It's an irrevocable trust and was set up this way and not to be changed. The money is solely mine as the beneficiary of my mother who passed. There is no legal standing my uncle has to demand this scheme he has concocted. I have no obligation to do anything. If he wants his son to have money, then he can give him money. Not my mum's nor my responsibility. He said my uncle is being very greedy. He suggested I ask for a copy of the trust, and if it's not received, then he will demand it in a legal letter. As for the elder abuse, he said my uncle is definitely unduly influencing my grandmother against his fiduciary duties. He suggested I speak with my cousin and see if he can calm my uncle down to give him a last shot at coming to his senses. If the calls increase from my grandmother, then I could register an elder abuse claim and take further legal action. Anyway, what do you guys make of this story? What would you do in OP's situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support and time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for getting involved, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in despair, crime everywhere. You're selling false hope 'cause